Hello and welcome back to Shame Over. I am thrilled that you are here, especially going into this holiday weekend. If you're listening to this right on time, Labor Day weekend is approaching. If not, you can use this anytime that you have a holiday weekend, a long weekend, a drinking weekend, or just a drinking event. So, with that, let's be real. When it comes to Labor Day weekend, any big holiday weekends, the intention is to drink. And it's all about socializing, getting together, celebrating something. But with that, it typically always means that you got to have a drink in hand, right? So if you are trying to drink less, if you are participating in anything like a dry or dryish month or period of time, if you are just working on moderation, concerned about your weight, your health, your any of this, you just don't want to feel like shit. You don't want the hangover. If you're just trying to be more mindful, don't worry, I got you. This is going to be a quick, super quick episode that is really I'm going to try for 10 expert approved drinking tips that can really help you to enjoy the holiday weekend in a safe way, keeping you not only sane, but not feeling like FOMO, not feeling like you're missing out on anything, and not being in a bad position that you're going to regret the next day. So, with that, absolutely number one thing for you to focus on is make a plan. Plan and preparation are two of the biggest things that you can do. And where most people fail is they might plan, but they fail to prepare. So what this means is, all right, you have the weekend, you know you're going to be, going to the barbecue or seeing friends or, whatever it is. You know typically ahead of time, kind of sort of what your weekend's going to look like. Come up with a plan for what that looks like. Maybe it is the number of drinks you're going to have or what you're drinking when you are going to be there. Understanding this plan for the events that you're attending and when, how much, where, what you're planning to drink is going to be crucial. Where the step further that you want to go that most people don't is that preparation piece. So, for example, if you are going to, I have a barbecue this weekend, I know I'm going to be there for at least 2+ hours, right? They're probably going to have stuff. We can bring our own BYOB, yay. I'm going to bring some booze-free beverages. I'm going to bring some sparkling water, some things that I can use to set myself up for success. I know that, all right, it's going to be a drinking day. I'm allotting 2 drinks for the day. This is how I plan to spend those drinks. This is how I can ensure that I see that plan through. That second step, the preparation, is where most people fall through or fall short, I should say. And a lot of times it's because we don't want to stick to our plan. I know that's hard to say. It's hard to admit out loud, but once you do, it's kind of freeing. Radical honesty is such a big part of this game. So if you keep falling short on, I'm coming up with a plan, but I'm not actually sticking to it, get honest with yourself because that's typically what's going on. Most of the time, you just are not being honest because there's shame involved, there's judgment involved, there's, all these things. I want to be my own boss. I want to decide when I'm there what I want to do. At the end of the day, what do you truly want? Yeah, it might be to drink, but what does that look like? It's definitely not to black out. It's definitely not to make a fool of yourself. It's definitely not to feel like shit the next day. So, what is it ultimately that you want? And how can you get fulfill that while still being able to find that off switch? And the off switch is all about the tools and the tricks that, again, you plan for ahead of time so that you're able to actually use them when you need them. I know, weird. A lot of times we don't think of it that way. Number 2 is all about hydration. As we know, alcohol dehydrates us. So what you want to do is not only go in being fully hydrated, but drink throughout. For every alcoholic drink you have a minimum of 1. I would say typically 2 non-alcoholic drinks, preferably just water, sparkling water, something that doesn't have the calories, the sugar, any of that crap in it. Sometimes just jazzing it up with sparkling water with cucumber or mint or mixed berries in your club soda, or I even do my favorite electrolytes. I personally love Element. It's LMNT. Their watermelon. I buy a box like every couple weeks because I'm just obsessed with it. That also helps with the salt, which a lot of times when we're drinking a ton of water, we're we're getting rid of so much through our hydration that it can actually start dehydrating us a little bit. So having that salt that some packets have is going to help with your not only the electrolytes, but your water retention, which we actually want, especially when we're drinking, because when we're drinking, we're losing the hydration that we have because of the alcohol. We're going to the bathroom a lot more, which is making us more dehydrated. And, that's what leads to the hangovers. So stay hydrated, do whatever you can to jazz it up and make it fun. Number 3 for you is club soda. Make it your best friend. I don't care if it's regular club soda, if you get the fancy sparkling waters, anything like that, but it makes anything basically an instant spritzer. So if you're a wino, I definitely used to be, you can literally cut the alcohol in half by pouring your drink, then sprucing it up with some club soda. I know younger me totally would be judging current me now, but I don't really give a shit because younger me had a lot of hangovers and made a lot of bad decisions. Now, if I want to have that wine or have whatever drink, I'm going to be including a lot more soda with it because not only does it bring down the alcohol level because obviously we're drinking more, but more of it is water or watered down as opposed to just the alcohol, but that's also helping with step 2, the staying hydrated thing. So adding club soda is going to not only help you stay a little bit more hydrated, but it's going to cut down on the overall calories that you're drinking and the amount of alcohol that you're drinking, and it's just going to make your drinks last longer. So there's just bonus upon bonus upon bonus. So lose the judgment for yourself. I know I used to be very judgy on that. Now bring it on, baby. All right, number 4, if you know me at all, you know I love me some booze-free beverages. I like to call them be-free because we drinking can feel a lot like punishment when we're like not allowed to drink, right? It's that whole mindset piece. So that's why I called them be-free. Booze-free makes it, yeah, be free, booze free, whatever, but it makes it that it's a choice and it is empowering and it is something that I get to do instead of I have to do, or it's more that punishment type thing. So check out your local liquor store, pretty much all of them, even like the random ones on the corner typically have booze-free options. I have a list. If you go to shameover.me/extras, I have a whole list there. If you search the blogs, I have tons of recommendations, even like the best for people who are specific with carbs. I know I have a couple clients that diabetes is something. So, carbs, sugar, all of that plays a major role. So I have all of those listed on my website as far as some of my favorites. But when it comes to these booze-free options, a few things I want you to pay attention to because a lot of times they'll market it as like a mocktail, but essentially it's just juice, either a very expensive juice or very sugary drinks. That is going to make you feel just as bad as super alcoholic drinks with all that sugar in it. So when it comes to whatever it is you're drinking, take a look at the calories, take a look at the carbs, but the sugars in particular, you're going to kind of get an idea what that looks like. Most of the really good, well-crafted mocktails are going to actually be less calories than if you were to have that same drink with alcohol, because the alcohol is where all the calories are. For example, booze-free wine. I can have my favorite Gießen Sauvignon Blanc, 0%. It literally changed my life. I can have essentially the whole bottle for the amount of calories that one glass of wine has because all the calories were in the alcohol. The alcohol has been removed, so I still get to enjoy my wine, feel like I'm being a part of things, but I'm not having all those calories. So find some booze-free beverages that you like. When it comes to wine, look for de-alcoholized or alcohol removed. If that is not on the label with wine, essentially you're buying juice, most likely at least. De-alcoholized or alcohol removed is where you're going to have better luck. White wines, rosés, sparkling, you can find a lot of really good options. Red can be a lot more challenging when it comes to alcohol removed wine. So feel free to check out some experts there as far as what they love. A lot of them, I'm going to say, if you spend more money, you're likely going to have better success, especially with the reds. Obviously, that's not always the case. I know Odd Bird is a good one. 00, I actually have it over here, so I'm looking. That's another one I really like. Wolfer Estate, phenomenal options. Yeah, so those are some of the ones I definitely look at doing. Besides that, when it comes to canned options, Oslo is one of my new favorites. It's actually out of Colorado, so I love that. But that's a sparkling, essentially instead of like having a high noon or something like that. That's going to be a good option. Aplos, obsessed with Aplos, especially their Ume Spritz. That is a fantastic choice. You can actually find Aplos at um, a lot of liquor stores now. So at least like Total Wine, I believe, carries them, certain things like that. So Bevmo, depending on where you live, probably will. Not sure. Feel free to check the website on that. Don't quote me on that. Athletic Brewing, you're going to be able to find that pretty much everywhere. Athletic Brewing, I was never really a big beer girl, and they made me a beer girl. Their IPA is fantastic. So a lot of great options there. Blue Moon Zero, absolutely love. It tastes like a full orange with squeezed in there, and it is fantastic. So again, when it comes to having these events, having a booze-free drink is going to be your best friend, not only because drinking is way more psychological than you realize, and just having the glass or the maybe bottle, I don't know, but the glass or the can in your hand does a lot more, even just for like the confidence that you have when you're used to having something in your hand. So that's huge. It automatically helps like minimize the FOMO, and you're able to be a lot more present. You're slowing down, you're like focused on what's going on, what's happening. Um, the other thing that I was going to say, I don't think I remember. Um, Check out, there's amazing websites like the Zero Proof is one that I order from a lot. I just got my wine shipment for the next quarter's wine of the month, wine of the, I don't know, their wine club. So I'm very excited to try those. I haven't even opened the box yet, so stay tuned. Yeah, just try booze-free options. Get over the sticker shock. So many times I remember, especially in the beginning of my wanting to drink less journey, saying like, well, I'm not going to pay for this if it doesn't give me a buzz. My friend, how many times have you said when you are hungover as all hell the next day, I would literally do anything not to feel like this? There you go. Take advantage of the alternatives that there are out there. Just again, make sure you're not buying all this super sugary, high calorie ones because you're going to feel like crap if that's what you're consuming anyway. So, sorry, that was kind of a long one on that. All right, the next one, number 5, sip and savor is going to be your best friend. This basically just says slow down. If it involves chugging, like shots, they're done. Those are completely done with my life. If it involves like a beer bong, is that, yep, that's what they're called. Beer bong, those are done. Drinking games, like I know they're fun. If you're gonna play it, then don't do it with alcohol. Do it with something else, lemonade, whatever, water, I don't care. But if you're going to be chugging or doing something that encourages you to drink fast, cut that out. I personally am a fast drinker. So this took a lot of time for me to have to slow this down. That's when I started doing, like one of the first things I would do was I used to do like a double tall vodka soda. I started doing single tall vodka sodas because if I'm going to drink it fast, then I'm going to have much less alcohol in there and having to hydrate more. So that's something that you can do. Another way, I like to gamify it. Find someone, whether it's someone in your group, someone on the outskirts, find someone and see how much they're drinking and see if you can match their drinking and drink less than them. So it takes you longer to finish your drink than anyone else, that type thing. I know sometimes this is hard because we're like, well, I don't like martinis. I love martinis. I don't want a cold martini. I get it. But I would rather have a warm martini that I'm just kind of like, maybe I don't want to finish it than chug one down, instantly want another, and next thing I know, I'm on my ass. So again, with all of this, it is going to be keeping the big picture in mind you're, playing it forward. How do you want to show up not only today, but tomorrow? And what is your why? What is the big picture? Is it just that you don't want to feel like shit tomorrow? Great. If that's what's motivating you, awesome. But if that's going to keep you involved for, about 2.5 seconds until you start feeling the buzz and want to keep it going, come up with a bigger why. A lot of times we need that bigger why that's going to keep us going. Sometimes it is even signing up for a workout class the next morning at 8 a.m. or scheduling something with someone so that you won't back out. These are all little things that we can do to try to help set ourselves up for success. All right. Number 6, know your number. This can be really hard, especially not only in the beginning, but for women, it can change depending on how hydrated we are, how much we ate, if we worked out that day or not, where we are in our cycle, where our hormones are, if we're premenopause, perimenopause, postmenopause, all the pauses, understanding where you are in that moment and how alcohol is affecting you is crucial. So I know for me, obviously, if I'm drinking vodka versus if I'm drinking wine, it impacts me differently. Know what your number is and stick with it. We all typically have some number that is kind of our happy, like, oh, once I get there, I'm feeling good. It's a perfect buzz. It's all of that. But that's typically what we're trying to chase. The problem is, as soon as we go over that number, that's where bad decisions are made, where we cannot find our off button, all of those things. So most of us, I hate to tell you, but it's typically two or less. So what that means, if I know my number's 2, I might tell the server, I'm going to drink 2 tonight. If I ask for more, please do not bring it to me. That's asking for help, asking for support. Sometimes I know plenty of clients only bring cash and only pay for, bring enough cash knowing what their number is so that they're staying within that number. Another thing to do is obviously spread it out and seeing how long you can make that last. But the biggest thing is once we get that buzz that we're at, chasing it is only going to end in bad decisions and regret. So know your number, do what you can to stick with it, and really be present in that moment. Feel it. A lot of us, we do drink because we want that buzz. We want the happy, good feelings that we get from it. But reminding ourselves, like, I cannot keep this up. I cannot chase it. And when we actually get the buzz and let it ride its course, that's when we are not hungover, when we're feeling decent. And again, bad decisions are not made. So figure yours out, stick to it, write it down, tell a buddy, do something to help with the accountability so that you can actually honor yourself and the limits that you're setting. All right, number 7, start later and end earlier. Shortening your window is huge as long as you don't cram in extra or, whatever. If you normally drink 5 drinks over 5 hours and now you're trying to drink 5 drinks over 2 hours, that's not what I'm saying. So keep your normal habits up, your normal behaviors, but shorten the window. When you start later, if you go to the party, I'm not saying don't be that asshole where you show up like 6 hours after the party started. That's rude. But if you're fashionably late a little bit and everyone else is already kind of feeling good, they don't care what you're drinking. They might say like they do, like, oh, let me get you a drink, catch up with us. But really they don't care because they're already on their way to that place themselves. So start a little bit later. This also means no pre-gaming. That was one of the things that I cut out that was probably the hardest because I loved having that wine or that cocktail while I was getting ready. And, no, get rid of that. I hate to tell you, but stop. That also means a lot of like bottomless is done. Get that out of your life. You're welcome. Pay extra for the 3 drinks instead of doing bottomless that encourages you to have much more than that. With that, start later, especially like on vacation, easy time to not do that. Start later. You're gonna thank yourself. And end sooner. Put an actual time on it. So if you know the party is from 4 o'clock on, all right, maybe you show up at 4:30 and you're out of there by 7. You're not gonna just keep going because once we keep pushing things is again when those bad decisions that are not in alignment with what we actually want, when they're more likely to come into play. So As you shorten this window, make sure you've also eaten, especially women, please. I know a lot of times, I mean, we trained ourselves so often not to eat because then we get the buzz quicker and da da da. If you're like me, you know that not doing that, yes, it comes on a lot quicker, but then what do? You get the drunk munchies. You eat the crap so that you don't feel like shit tomorrow, only to wake up the next morning feeling terrible. You're not eating a salad, you're eating a burger and fries, right? Or no, just me? Okay, cool. But keep that in mind. The more we're nourishing our bodies with what our bodies actually need, the better it's going to be for us. So, the last thing on that is as long as you're getting home safe and people know that that's the case, lean entirely into, I believe they're the Irish goodbyes when you just like leave and no one knows that you left. If you need to, lean into that. You don't need to drag it out. I am the kind that my husband hates. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go say bye because he's like, awesome, we're going to be here another 30 minutes. Like, no, sometimes you just gotta be like, love y'all, bye, see ya, peace out. And that's okay. If that will help you get out of there sooner without anyone trying to encourage you to join them for another drink, do it. Again, remember tomorrow, remember the big picture. What skin do you have in the game? And on that note, make a commitment. Write it down. What is your goal for the weekend? I have a client who her most successful anything is when she literally sits down before the weekend, before the trip, before the whatever, and essentially writes down how it's going to go. So she's committing to herself. Yeah, this is part of visualization and manifestation and all of that, but it's also committing to yourself. Like, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to make it work, how I'm going to be successful. And it works. So if you need to, write it down. Tell your partner or a supportive friend that you have. Set a reminder in your phone so that you know, like, okay, this is my plan, this is my window, whatever that looks like. Even doing a mantra like, I will drink less today, can be beneficial. I would so much rather have it be something that's more positive and optimistic, like, I'm a moderation machine. Great. I I can stop drinking whenever I want. Great. Use these mantras whenever you can, as often as you can. Our brain believes what we tell it. That's also how we build trust and confidence in ourselves, in our word, and our abilities. So if you want to actually master moderation, if you want to cut back and be one of those people who is a take it or leave it drinker, that is all based on what you're saying out loud and what you're saying internally. So listen to how you're talking to yourself, about this whole situation, and you're going to see very quickly why you are where you are and how you can easily shift to get where you want to be. On that note, number 9, get yourself a booze less bestie. Booze less, yes, less. We're not sober here. If you are, great. I support that 1,000,000%. But if you have someone who is all about just having a better relationship with alcohol and having a better relationship with self, that is the greatest thing in the world as well. So find yourself an accountability buddy, someone who not only makes moderation easier to do, but I promise it's so much more fun too, especially when you have people that, yeah, I feel that way too, or yeah, I really want to drink. Let's do this instead, or just talk me through it. You guys can text each other. You can send each, like whatever. Technology makes communication so much easier, but you don't have to physically be with each other in the moment to still be supportive of one another. With Shame Over, we have a community where we can basically be in touch anytime that we need support. We have a call every week, but I fully understand that we need support outside of that 1 hour every week for the call. So that's exactly why we have multiple ways to connect with one another to get that support when we actually need it. So last but not at all least, number 10, affirmations. They're going to be so powerful for you. I know I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but getting an affirmation that really hits you in the feels when it comes to moderation or whatever goal you're working towards is going to be a complete game changer. Again, our brain believes what we tell it to. So if we're saying, I'm not going to drink today, and then we do, we're losing that trust and everything is eroding in the background. But when we say, I don't need alcohol to have fun, I have fun with or without alcohol, we're repeating this constantly, our brain is going to believe it. It's going to look for cues to prove what we're saying is right. And that is one fascinating thing about the brain. So these tiny little moments of intention can create huge, wonderful mindset shifts. So hopefully that is some great, powerful information for you to take into the weekend, the long weekend, the holiday, the trip, the whatever you need it for. But really just to wrap up with some final reminders, and I know you don't necessarily need these, but sometimes we kind of do. You do not need to drink to belong. You do not need to drink to have fun. You do not need to drink to feel sexy or confident or to fit in or to any of that. I know all of us, myself included, the insecurities come up. The FOMO can start, playing like, oh, but would I have more fun? Am I missing out? Like, one thing I've realized, if the only reason why we're having fun is because we're drinking, we need new friends or we need a different life. And that is the hard truth. And yes, can situations be more fun with alcohol? Absolutely. But they can be just as much fun without it. And that is training ourselves not only to believe that, but to experience it. So making sure that we are putting ourselves in situations so that we can practice being confident and social and fun without alcohol as a lubricant is going to be huge. You've heard me say this probably once or a million times. You'll probably hear it another million times. So you're welcome. But you practiced a lot to get really good at drinking, and you've done an amazing job with that. Now you need to practice something else. If you want a different reward, you got to start practicing something different, right? So what does that look like? You decide. Think of it as a muscle. These are new muscles that you're working, strengthening, elongating, whatever. You have to work at it for it to come more easy, for it to feel more natural, for you to have the confidence in it, for you to be able to repeat it. A habit is something that you've done time and time and time again. That's how it becomes habitual. That's how it becomes mindless or less effort is needed to do it. So you already did that with drinking. You know you can do it. Try to do it with moderation. Try to do it with another habit that you're trying to do. And I promise, every time that you navigate this new event, this new social situation, life without any alcohol, you are going to build not only so much trust in yourself, but that confidence, that awareness, that intuition that we're silencing by drinking is going to get louder and stronger. And we need to hear it. It's coming up for a reason, and we need to let it shine. So, lastly, moderation, it's a skill, just like any other skill. You have to keep practicing. So practice, 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 and keep practicing. So with that, I wish you all a wonderful, safe, beautiful weekend. Have fun. Again, be safe. Remember yourself. Remember why you're here, why this matters, what the short and long term is. And I promise you, no one has ever woke up and said, wow, I wish I drank last night, or I wish I drank more. So remind yourself of that. All right. Have a great weekend. See you next time, and cheers.